Bangkok in September. The rain comes every evening at 6, punctual as a civil servant, and stops whenever it feels like it. Erik had been in the country 4 days. An engineer from Gothenburg sent to a water treatment plant in Rayong. 3 weeks, his boss had said, 4 at most.
I was standing under an awning, waiting for water to stop being water.
She came from the other side with a plastic bag over her head, laughing at herself before he could say anything.
4 days in Thailand and no umbrella. You are either very optimistic or very new.
Her name was Ploy. She worked the front desk of a hotel 3 streets over, spoke better English than he was comfortable with, and they stayed under that awning until the rain stopped. Then they didn't go their separate ways anyway. It was one evening. Erik had no intention of it becoming more. He also had no intention of someone asking him at an airport 3 weeks later whether he wanted to stay. On the 3rd evening, at a plastic table by the roadside, she told him, between the food and the 2nd bottle, without warning, because she had learned that warnings only make it worse.
Before this goes any further, I am KaThoey, and I never had this surgery. I don't want it. If that's a problem for you, say it now, not in 3 weeks.
Erik said nothing for a while. He admitted later that he thought 3 things in those seconds, and that he wasn't proud of any of them.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious. Every man who claims otherwise is lying too. But sitting there, I realized the question wasn't whether I minded. It was whether I had the guts to admit that I didn't.
He stayed in his chair. That was all she wanted in that moment, for somebody to stay in their chair. What happened that night is nobody's business. But Erik said something later that stuck.
What surprised me wasn't how different it was. It was how much it wasn't. Familiar and new at the same time. And it took me a long time to understand why that threw me so badly. Not because she was different, because I'd assumed she had to be.
In the morning, she brought him coffee from the 7-Eleven on the corner and acted as if nothing remarkable had happened. That was exactly what was remarkable. 2 weeks later, Erik had 4 days off, and Ploy had an idea she'd been carrying around for years, always missing the person to carry it with. They went south. No resort, no pool bar. A room for 800 baht a night, 10 minutes walk from the water.
I've never been to the sea with anyone. Not like this. Always alone, or with girls from work.
Those 4 days changed something. We got braver. There were things I'd never done. Some of them I'd never even thought about. And at some point, I stopped keeping track of which was which. I found out I knew a lot less about myself than I thought.
She never asked whether he was sure. She waited until he was. On the 3rd evening, Erik's friends wrote into the group chat in Gothenburg. He'd shared a photo without thinking.
14 messages, 2 of them decent.
He answered none of them. He sat on that balcony until 2 in the morning, and by sunrise he had left the group. He never told Ploy. She noticed anyway. Ploy came from a village in Isan, 7 hours northeast of Bangkok, where the fields stand green in September and look like paper by March. She hadn't wanted to bring him. He asked until she gave in.
You don't understand. In Bangkok, I'm Ploy. Out there, I'm somebody's son.
Her Aunt Dao met them in front of the house. Late 40s, the same as Ploy, and the only one in the family who had never asked a single question.
How long are you in Thailand?
2 more weeks.
Then don't ask her questions that aren't worth 2 weeks.
That evening, 11 of them sat on the floor. Ploy's mother spoke no English and asked Erik questions all night anyway, which Ploy translated. Some of them completely, some of them not.
That night, I lay on a mat 2 meters from her mother and thought about the sea, about what we'd done there, and how ordinary it had felt by then, and how in that house I wasn't allowed to touch her hand.
He leaves in 2 weeks. And here I sit imagining what it would be like if he didn't. I'm not stupid, May. No, you're just in a position to lose something for the first time. That feels like stupidity. It isn't.
3 weeks became 5. 5 didn't become 6 because in Gothenburg there was a plant nobody else could finish. They stood in front of security saying the things people say at airports, and neither of them said what they meant.
I'll ask you this once, and then never again. Am I a story you tell back home, or am I someone you come back to?
Erik admitted later that he took too long, not because he was unsure, because it hit him in that moment that he'd known the answer for weeks and had simply never said it out loud.
I'm coming back in January, not as a visit.
Ploy rode back into the city alone. She said later it was the first time a goodbye hadn't felt like a confirmation. Whether he came back in January is not ours to tell yet. We hope we can bring you the rest of this story one day.